I never believed in curses. Not really. Not until I took the assignment in Karma, a village so remote it barely appeared on any map. I was supposed to be here for 3 months, helping set up a water filtration system, documenting the process for the NGO. The pay was nothing special, but the promise of adventure, of stories worth telling, was enough to make me say yes. I arrived on a Monday, just before dusk. The sky bruised purple and gold, the air thick with the scent of wood smoke and something else, something metallic like old blood. The village was smaller than I'd imagined. 20 houses, maybe fewer, all clustered around a cracked stone well. The people were polite, but wary. They watched me with eyes that never quite met mine, as if I were a ghost passing through. The headman, Mr. Dawes, greeted me with a forced smile and a warning. After dark, stay inside. No matter what you hear, do not open your door. I laughed it off, thinking it was just local superstition. But that first night, as I lay on the thin mattress in my assigned hut, I heard it, the sound of footsteps crunching on gravel, a low, guttural moan drifting through the darkness, and then a scream, short, sharp, and cut off too soon. In the morning, the village was quieter than before. One of the houses stood empty, its door swinging open, a single sandal left in the dust. No one spoke of it. When I asked, Mr. Dawes only shook his head. "It is the way of things," he said. "You must not interfere." But I couldn't let it go. I needed to know what was happening here. The second night, I tried to convince myself it was all in my head. Maybe the villager had left for the city, or maybe I'd misheard the scream. But as dusk fell, the mood in Karma shifted. Doors slammed early. Windows were shuttered tight. Even the dogs vanished, as if they knew something I didn't. I sat by my window, notebook in hand, pretending to write. But really, I was listening. The silence was unnatural, thick and heavy, broken only by the distant croak of frogs and the occasional snap of a twig. Then, just past midnight, I heard it again. Footsteps, slow and dragging, moving past my hut. I held my breath, heart pounding so loud I was sure whoever or whatever was outside could hear it. The footsteps stopped. For a moment, there was nothing. Then, a whisper, so close it felt like it was inside my room. "Help me." I froze, every instinct screaming at me to stay put. But curiosity, stupid, dangerous curiosity, got the better of me. I crept to the door, pressing my ear against the wood. The voice came again, weaker this time, fading into the night. Morning brought another empty house. This time, a woman named Lada. Her husband sat on the steps, staring at the ground, hands trembling. No one comforted him. No one even looked his way. I tried to ask what was happening, but the villagers avoided me, their faces tight with fear. Only the children seemed unaffected, playing in the dust as if nothing had changed. But I saw the way they glanced at the shadows, the way they flinched at every unexpected sound. Something was hunting them, and now it was hunting me too. On the third night, I decided I couldn't just sit and wait. I set up my phone to record audio by the window, hoping to catch whatever haunted the village after dark. I kept the lights off and sat in the corner, clutching a kitchen knife I'd borrowed from the communal kitchen. The hours crawled by, every creak of the old hut making my skin prickle. Midnight came and went. Then, just as I was starting to drift, the air changed, growing colder, heavier, as if the night itself was pressing in. A soft shuffling sound moved past my door. I held my breath, straining to hear. The footsteps stopped, and then a low, wet breathing, like someone struggling for air. My hand tightened on the knife. Suddenly, a sharp knock rattled the door. Once, twice, 3 times. I nearly jumped out of my skin. Then, silence. I waited, counting the seconds, until finally the footsteps faded away. At dawn, I played back the recording. The audio was filled with static, but beneath it, I heard the knock, the breathing, and, chillingly, a voice whispering my name. I hadn't told anyone in the village my full name. My hands shook as I replayed it over and over, trying to convince myself it was just a trick of the mind. But deep down, I knew better. That morning, the villagers gathered in the square. Another person gone, a young boy this time. The headman's face was drawn, his eyes hollow. "It is not safe for you here," he said quietly. "You should leave." But I couldn't, not yet. I needed answers, and I was starting to realize that whatever was taking people, it wanted me to stay. I spent the day searching for clues, desperate for anything that might explain the disappearances. The villagers watched me from behind curtains, whispering to each other in a dialect I barely understood. I wandered to the edge of the village, where the jungle pressed close, thick and tangled. There, I found strange markings carved into the trees, Symbols I didn't recognize, circles and slashes, some stained dark, as if with old blood. The air felt colder here, the silence deeper. I snapped photos, my hands trembling, and hurried back before dusk. That evening, I cornered Mr. Dawes outside his hut. "What do the symbols mean?" I demanded, showing him the photos. He flinched, glancing around before pulling me into the shadows. "You should not have seen those," he whispered. "They are wards. Old magic. From before my grandfather's time. We carved them to keep the darkness out, but it is angry now, hungry." His voice broke. "We have tried everything. Prayers, offerings, and even leaving food at the edge of the trees. Nothing works." I pressed him for more, but he only shook his head. Fear etched deep in his face. "If you want to live, you must leave before nightfall." But I couldn't leave, not when people were vanishing every night, not when I felt the thing in the darkness turning its attention toward me. As the sun set, the village seemed to shrink, every shadow stretching longer, every sound sharper. I locked my door, heart racing, and waited. The night pressed in, thick and suffocating, and somewhere out there, I knew something was waiting for me to make a mistake. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw faces. Lada, the boy, the others, mouths open in silent screams, eyes pleading. Around midnight, a storm rolled in. Thunder shaking the walls, rain lashing the tin roof. I thought maybe the weather would keep whatever haunted the village at bay. But then, through the roar of the storm, I heard it. A voice, impossibly close, whispering from beneath my floorboards. "Let me in." The words were soft, almost gentle, but they froze my blood. I pressed myself against the wall, knife in hand, barely daring to breathe. The voice came again, this time from the window. "Please, I'm so cold." I squeezed my eyes shut, willing it to stop. The rain hammered harder, drowning out everything for a moment. When I opened my eyes, I saw a shadow moving outside, tall and thin, gliding between the huts. Lightning flashed, illuminating a face at my window, pale, hollow-eyed, lips stretched in a smile that was all wrong. I stumbled back, heart slamming in my chest. The shadow vanished as quickly as it appeared. I waited, counting the seconds, until the storm finally passed and the first light of dawn crept through the cracks in the wall. I forced myself outside, searching for footprints, for any sign that what I'd seen was real. All I found was a single, muddy handprint smeared across my window. The villagers avoided my gaze that morning, but I could feel their fear. Whatever haunted karma was getting bolder, and I was running out of time to stop it or escape. I knew I couldn't survive another night like that. As dusk fell, I packed my bag, determined to reach the old temple I'd seen on the hill above the village, the place the locals never spoke of. The path was overgrown, the air thick with the scent of rain and fear. Every step felt like a dare. Halfway up, I heard footsteps behind me, soft, shuffling, too many to count. I turned, but the path was empty, or so it seemed. At the temple, the doors hung open, darkness yawning inside. I stepped in, flashlight trembling in my grip. The walls were covered in the same symbols I'd seen in the jungle, but here, they pulsed with a faint, red glow. In the center of the room, a circle of salt had been broken, footprints leading out into the shadows. I realized, too late, that the thing hunting us had been trapped here once, and now it was free. A cold wind swept through the temple, snuffing out my light. In the pitch black, I heard the voices of the missing whispering my name. Closer and closer, I ran, stumbling into the night, not daring to look back. If you want to know what happened next, hit subscribe, because the truth about karma is darker than anything you've heard. Drop a comment if you'd survive a night here, and share this with someone who thinks they're brave. But remember, in karma, the night is always listening. Are you?